What's up, y'all? It's Tony from Tony Renee 1. Today we got something super special for you. We're gonna talk about our worst job interviews as first-gen grads right after this.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Renee. So I'm gonna start out by talking about my worst job interview experience. I got a few, but there's one that stands out to me that I want to share with y'all. So I was interviewing at a place. I had really been looking forward to this interview too. Prepared, really studied, had all my stuff together. So I get to this interview and there's like 10 people in the room. I don't know if they interviewing me. I don't know if they candidates that's trying to get the job the same way I am. I don't know. So once we get settled in this room, somebody comes in with this hat. I mean like a fedora, that you would wear on your head, and little slips of paper in the hat. Y'all, they had us draw numbers out of the hat so that we could know what seat to take when we go up and introduce her. I've just never been to an interview like this. So it was about 10 of us. I was so glad I didn't get number 1 because I didn't even know what the expectation was. So thankfully I was like number 8. So I had some chance to kind of look and see what everybody else did. So that was nice. But after we, kind of presented who we were, y'all, we got points taken off if we talked too long. Like, this is an interview, not a pageant. So to have points taken off if you talk too long was just beyond me. I had never been to an interview like this. But the worst part of it was, once we started interviewing, we had to go like table to table to table. And y'all know from following us, which I know y'all do, that I am a therapist, social work is my discipline. So I'm answering some real deal questions, y'all, about some things you would do serving clients and serving families. And I'm talking, I have to answer these like real quick, and then ding, goes the bell, gotta go to the next table. Ding, there's the bell, go to the next table.
So it's like speed dating.
It was, y'all, it was like speed dating.
Wow.
I had to go from table to table to table. And for me, that was the worst job interview because I remember leaving the interview thinking, now, how did they get to know me? How did they get to know what I could bring to the company? There's no way they could get to know me by speed interviewing me the way they did. So that, when I think about it, is the worst job interview I have ever been on.
Wow.
I didn't get the job either, by the way.
Did you want it?
I didn't want it. So I'm glad I didn't get it.
Right. Mine, the worst job interview I've ever had as a first-gen grad, okay? I was interviewing at a company and I didn't know that they were gonna do a panel interview. And basically a panel interview is where there are multiple interviewers interviewing you at the same time. And a lot of times in my industry as a safety professional, workplace safety, they ask technical questions that are related to the industry, or they ask behavioral questions to see how I would react in particular situations. So when I went to the interview, just thinking that maybe 3 or 4 people would interview me, 13 people interviewed me at once.
That's too many people.
13. So I was in a small conference room and there were 13 people circled around me.
Wow.
And they were firing off questions for almost 4 hours. So I didn't get lunch.
Come on.
I sit there for 4 hours answering questions and I didn't get lunch. I didn't get a water break. Luckily, I brought my own water. But this really showed me, this really gave me an inside look into the company. Like, do I really want to work there? I did the interview great. I think I did a great job for interviewing for 4 hours. For the first 3.5 hours, I think I did a great job, but I got winded the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I was tired, my legs were starting to cramp up, my back was starting to hurt from sitting in the same position for such a long time. And long story short, I didn't get that job. To be honest, the company never even contacted me back and said, hey, you know what? We chose another candidate, or we chose to move forward with somebody else. To this day, I still have never heard from that company.
Wow.
And thank God, it probably is the place I didn't want to be anyway.
Right.
But that's one of the worst job experiences that I've had, so.
Wow. To interview someone for 4 hours, no water, no food,
yes,
and you didn't get the job. I think that beats mine.
Yeah.
But okay, that's the worst job interview that you've had. So some takeaways though, I mean, not that it sound negative.
But I've had one more. I've had one more job interview. I was interviewing for a particular company, and when I got there, and this was what really runs through me as a candidate looking for the job that I want, is when I got there to my interview, the interviewer didn't even know, they didn't remember that they had scheduled me for that date to interview. So when I had got there, this person was fumbling all around, asking me the same questions that they had asked me during my phone screening. It was asking me questions about my background history and things like that that were on my resume. You know, they really didn't get a chance to really get to know my talents, my character traits, and to actually get to see if I fit into the culture of their facility. You know, and it's my big opinion that you could teach somebody something, you could teach you the technical knowledge, but the hardest thing about hiring people or getting people on to be on your team is to see if they fit into the culture. You know, what is their personality like? And I felt like with that job interview, I really didn't get that opportunity to do that. She was constantly rushing through the interview. She didn't have any questions prepared, and it was just a horrible experience for me. And I felt like it was a complete waste of my time, and that really runs through me when people waste my time, because I can't get time back. You know, I can lose money and make money back, but I cannot get my time back. So I'm very, very serious about my time. So that's one of the worst experiences that I've had. Do you got any more?
Wow. Nope, not to beat that.
Really?
No. The only other one I can think of is one similar to you with 13 people. I think mine had like 15 people in it, and y'all, one of them didn't even work there. Sir, why are you in this interview? So this was somebody who used to work there, and you know how you used to work at a place, and if you got a nice rapport with them, you come back and visit on your lunch break. That's what he did. He came back to visit, but he just happened to be visiting on the day I was scheduled for an interview. And don't y'all know, they invited him to sit in my interview. So the whole time I'm interviewing, I'm wondering, who is this person in the corner that's not saying anything? So that was throwing me off anyway. But I realized through that interview, when they start talking about different ways that they handle stuff, like particularly washing a cat in the break room, I knew I didn't want to work here. If you wash cats in the break room, I don't want to work here. No shade to anybody who does. That's just not a place where I want to work. So a takeaway could be from a negative interview experience, you just might realize this is not the place for me. And so that's what I was able to realize through that place and through the other place where I had like the speed dating experience, that this is not the place for me. So that can be a takeaway. So
out of both of your worst job interviewing experiences, what was that moment that went across in your head and said, hey, this is not the place that I want to be at because of this? Like, was it like before the interview started, like midway, or was it like after the interview and you kind of like thought about it?
It was during. While they were interviewing me, I started noticing different things, like the way that they interacted with each other. You know, they seemed disorganized to a certain extent, like they didn't know who was gonna ask which question, they weren't bouncing off each other well. And I'm thinking, did y'all just show up and just invite me, or did y'all sit and prepare? Because it doesn't look like y'all prepared for anything. And what that showed me was, if you're not prepared for this interview on the day where it's scheduled, what is a typical work week gonna look like if I'm reporting to you after I take this job? No. So I knew during the interview, this probably won't be a good fit.
And see, when I was interviewing for the company that had 13 people interview me for almost 4 hours, I kind of thought to myself in my head, that probably the last 30 minutes is what kind of probably caught me up a little bit, is, you know, why 13 people interviewing me at once? Like literally at once. Like seriously, what is it about me, or what is it that they need to hear to be convinced that I'm going to be an asset to their team? Like seriously, you know. And that question kept running through my mind the whole time. And I'm like, is this the place that I really want to be at? Because before I got there, I really thought that it was going to be a great opportunity for me. It was going to be a great job, great location, great pay. But after going to that interview, I really got that inside look to see how they work. And I would have thought that I was maybe, you know, applying to be the CEO of the company, or, you know, a shareholder or something of the company, you know, but I wasn't. And 13 people interviewed me, so I can only imagine what other people have to go through to get leadership roles. So,
and that's true. You can really have this idea about this company that you apply for if you look, you know, you apply for different jobs through different search engines, or you hear about jobs through different people, and then you get in there and you interview and you're like, ooh, this does not really seem like what I read about, or this does not really seem like what such and such told me about. So I think when you have an interview, even if it is a negative experience, some good can come out of it, because you can realize this is not the place for me. I also think interviews are good practice.
Yes.
Because when you interview places, you know, you get to see where your strengths and your weaknesses are as an interviewee. You know, you get to see the questions that catch you up and make you stumble. You get to see the questions that you shine on, and you just get to some good practice on how to kind of get in the rhythm, you know, of interviewing. And after so long, you interview this place, you're gonna mess around and interview at the place you really want to be, and you're gonna get the job. So that's a good takeaway from that, I think.
You're gonna be super prepared, you know, going through having these different experiences. And these experiences, like Renee was saying, you know, they're good for you. They're good to get you seasoned, to kind of take you around the block a little bit, to kind of figure out also what you value in a place. You know, you go to a lot of different places, and what I see at so many different companies that I've interviewed at as a first-year grad is that online or on paper, companies try to make themselves seem like this excellent place, like they are the best, the biggest and the baddest and the greatest company that ever existed. And once you get there, you're like, really?
Right. Absolutely.
How are y'all even surviving? Like, seriously, like how do you all survive off this? Really? And a lot of times this is where people get to a place where they maybe not satisfied, but you don't want to be one of those people. So you really have to look at what you value in a company and kind of line up those values. So
absolutely. So y'all, we just wanted to share this video with you, so just so we can share our experience, because we've had some negative interviews. We've had some good ones too, but we've had some interviews that we consider to be some of our worst. So we just kind of wanted to share that with y'all.
And I got one more too, but before we close out, I got one more. I just thought about it, y'all. This is serious. So in my industry, as y'all know, I do occupational health and safety. I'm a workplace safety professional. So I'm the guy that goes around and conduct OSHA training, environmental health and safety, environmental protection training, and deal with a lot of regulations inside the workplace to keep people safe, protect people from the workplace. Okay, so a lot of the jobs that I go after or that catch my attention require me to travel. You know, they're in different states, other cities. So my wife and I, we have been together for a very long time, and on my professional journey, and we have traveled from state to state to state to state during my process to find the right job that I wanted. And okay, so basically, I'm not gonna say the company's name, you know, anything like that, because I don't want any problems. They got deep pockets. I don't want any problems. So I was interviewing at a company that was in a different state, and so my wife, I had to take my wife and my son with me. So my wife's driving and I'm preparing for my interview, thinking of questions. My son is in the back seat at the time. I think he was like 3, right?
3, y'all.
Yeah, he was like 3 years old, and you know, he's going crazy. He's in the car too long.
Right.
It's hot outside, you know, and I'm sitting in there with a suit on with a necktie all the way up to my neck, and I'm sitting there trying to be still so I don't get anything
on you.
Yeah, anything on me, so I don't look wrinkled or anything like that. And I remember I had to change my pants, so we had to stop at a rest stop, and I had to go change my pants, and I'm hopping on one leg inside of a rest stop bathroom to get my pants on and to put my suit on and different things like that.
Come on, determination.
Determination. We had what was like 2-3 hour drive?
Yeah.
2-3 hour drive. Once I got to the place to do my interview, my wife left. She took my son to a place where they went out and played and had fun and things like that. So my interview took probably about 2 hours. And so had a great interview with the company, left out, me and my wife drove back another 2-3 hours. I had to change my clothes into something that was a little bit more comfortable. So probably about 2 weeks later, found out that I didn't get the opportunity. And the reason that I feel like this is probably one of the worst job interviews that I've had, but it was one of the greatest experiences that I had, because I didn't get what I wanted, but it showed me how really strong I am, what my character really is like when I'm really going after things that I really, really want. So I've really learned a lot from that experience. What did you learn from that experience when I was going after that job?
I learned that you can turn an interview into a road trip. Okay, that's what I learned, because we had a whole road trip, had a ball, had a good time. No, but in all seriousness, I did learn. I learned the same. I learned that if you really, really want something, you really don't know how strong you are until that's the only choice you have is to be strong. And so when you really push through something to achieve it, you can really, really get it. And a lot of times you don't even know you have that in you until you have different experiences. So we're sharing this with y'all because you might have had some interviews and you might have left feeling discouraged. Or you might have felt like, you know, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get the dream job I want. I don't know if I don't even know if dream jobs exist anymore. You know, I don't even know if it's a real thing. We're here to tell you that they do.
They do.
But we're here to let you know, just to be encouraged, because look at this experience Tony just shared, how much he went through, and he still didn't get the job. But that's okay, because he learned so much about himself that he is going to be able to take to the next place that he goes, which is not only going to make him better, but it's going to make them better too. So That's what I learned. But we just wanted to share that with you guys. As always, thank you so much for hanging with us. Y'all make sure you like the video, follow us, share, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, do it right now. And we just want to thank you for hanging with us. So also we want you to know, if you have a comment to post, please do, because here's the question. What is your worst job interview? Please comment below. We want to hear all about it.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
Absolutely.
All ears.
Absolutely. We want to know all about it. So you make sure you comment right up under this video.
Yes.
Tony, tell them what's up.
Until next time, remember to think, create, and change your own situation if you don't like it. Peace!
Yeah, no, 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 yeah, no, no, no. No, no, no.